Hello student, welcome to the experiment on PPID controllers. Now in the previous experiments we have learned open loop and closed loop system, and along with that we have learned the on-off control system. So those two experiments we have finished previously. In continuation of that we are moving in the experiment number 3. You are aware that in the closed loop system we have the block diagram like this one. This is a controller, then we have process to be controlled. This is the output of a system, this is the input of a system, then we take feedback, and the measured output we compare with the input. So input minus output, this is the error signal denoted by the E. If we look the sketch, which is the input to the controller, and output of a controller is available here, which is denoted by M. So I have already previously also explained these particular things when I was talking the previous experiment. If we take a controller outside, so we observe that input to the controller is an error signal, which is the difference between input and output, and output of a controller is M. So what is the relation between this M and the error signal denoted by E defines the different control actions. I have talked also about this previously. The first one is a discontinuous mode of a control, and second one is a continuous mode of a control. And as already said that it is a relation between error input and the controller output M. In the discontinuous mode, we have on-off action. We have learned how the on-off actions we work in the previous experiment. And in the continuous we have three basic actions. I have talked also about this: P, I and D. P stands for proportional, I stands for integral, and D stands for a derivative. What is this we'll be learning. Then we have a composite modes of the action, that is combination of these three, like P plus I we say proportional plus integral, proportional plus derivative, proportional plus integral plus derivative. So these are called as a composite actions. And then I have talked also previously about a response behavior. What is a good response means transient response and steady state response, and so on. So for a system to be a good one, as per our previous discussion, the first requirement is that the transient behavior of the system has to be fast, and the steady state behavior, when we are talking about the steady state error, that is ESS, has to be less. So we say that a system is good one if its transient part is a fast and it has a less steady state error. Hope you are recalling the example of a thermometer I had given, or you can see that particular video again, so that you will be getting insight about what does mean by transient behavior and what does mean by steady state behavior. So whatever the basic actions are concerned, P, I and D, those basic actions are related with these two parts, that is a transient and steady state behavior. So proportional is good in transient, that is it requires less time to reach a final value. Integral is good in steady state. Then derivative is also good in transient behavior when the loads on the systems are changing. What does mean by the loads will be again recalling once again in today's laboratory. So if you observe these three actions, that certain action is good in transient, certain action is good in steady state. So what our task is? Our task is we have to combine these together, that is P plus I. So P is good in transient, I is good in steady state. So the combination of these two will give us good transient and steady state response or behavior of the system. And that's why we are going to these combined modes of actions. Let's begin our discussion why the P action is called P proportional, why I is called as an integral, and why the D action is called as a derivative. As we rightly said that these modes of control are based on relation between input to the controller, and you are aware that input to the controller is an error signal, and output of a controller, which is the quantity m. So this relationship decides the name of the control actions. So we'll try to write the mathematical equation for each of them, and then we'll try to learn why it is called as a proportional, integral, and derivative action. Therefore, let's begin with the proportional action. Proportional control mode also it is said as proportional, and it is abbreviated by the notation P. So in P mode, the mathematical relation is m is equal to Kp times E. So let's mark this as equation number 1. And if you'll see the equation, you had two quantities m, which is the output of a controller, and we have another quantity E, which is the input of a controller, and we rightly said that the control actions are based on the relationship between input and output of a controller. Then we are having the term called as a Kp, which is called as a proportional gain, GAIN, proportional gain, and that term is a constant. Now if Kp is a constant, relation is m is directly proportional to the error signal, and that's why if you will see this equation, the name of the control mode is said as a proportional mode. Then if you go for a second action, integral control mode, and we'll try to see what is the relation for this integral mode denoted by I. I'll be having again equation for m. So what is this m? Controller output as usual, and then this relation over here is from certain time duration 0 to t, it is E of t multiplied by dt. This is the equation number 2 associated with the integral mode. Now what do you understand from this relation? Output of a controller is an integration of a error signal, and that's why the name of this action is a integral control action. I hope now by seeing these two modes, the third control mode, by common sense you have got that one, what will be the equation of this one. So I'll be having a derivative mode, and it is denoted by D, and let's say we have equation for m, again it is a controller output, and yes, I think you have rightly guessed, it is a dE divided by dt, and this is the equation number 3. So if you look the equation 3, output of a controller is a rate of change of a error signal, that is the input of the controller, and that's why this mode is called as a derivative. Hope by seeing these relations you had a insight about what does mean by proportional. The governing relation between input and output is a linear one, directly proportional one. Second one, output is an integration of a error signal, and third one, output of a controller is a derivative of a error signal. Hope you have understood these relations mathematically, and by observing these mathematical relations you had an insight about names of the controller. Now let's say we had P plus I mode, which is a composite one, and I have already mentioned a bit about why to combine them. So what will be the relation for this one, P plus I? M is equal to, it will be Kp times E plus, there are also constant available in this relation. Say for an example, equation number 2 we have a constant as a Ki. If you will be observing the equation number 3, we have a constant as a Kd. So if we are talking about a proportional system, we have proportional gain. If you are talking about an integral, we have a Ki and we have a Kd. So you have to recall this one. Then Kp plus E, then we had a integral part. So integral part is associated with ki, integration 0 to t, and it is e times dt. So this is equation number 4, which is for pi controller. Now I hope you can write the equation for p plus d. You can write the equation for p plus I plus d by the same way whatever we have learned. Now the best action, best control actions which we are talking about is proportional plus integral plus derivative, and it is very good in transient part. Once again I request to see that video of a thermometer example, and it is very good in the steady state part. So both outputs or both behaviors are good for p plus I plus d. Therefore this control action is the best amongst all. But we have to remember that when we are adding the control actions, the number of control components goes on increasing, and the cost of the controller will be high in that particular case. So it depends upon what type of a process you are controlling, and depending upon that which mode of the control action need to be chosen is decided. Let's begin with a discussion on a setup now, and try to understand which setup, which process we are controlling for the present experiment. We are seeing here one portion or component entire this particular block, and inside this block at the central part we have aluminum cylinder, and this aluminum cylinder on its periphery we are observing 3 lamps, and as the lamps will glow, you are aware that the temperature of this cylinder will increase. They will be heating the cylinder and temperature will be increasing. So it's rightly you might have understood that the process is a heating in this case, and the process variable is a temperature. So in the present experiments, what we are going to do, we are going to learn how the temperature of this cylinder is controlled by using all these control actions which we have learned in the theory. Then at the center portion we are observing one wire, and at that portion we have placed the RTD. So this wire will be coming from here, and the output of that wire is taken from here, and then it goes to this block which is called as a controller, which is a microprocessor based controller. So I hope you guess that output of a system is a temperature of the cylinder, which is measured by this RTD, and the output of this RTD is taken back to the controller. Hence this green wire is nothing but it's a feedback wire, that is we are measuring the output by RTD, and that output electrical signal has been sent to the controller. Then we have a microprocessor based controller over here, and the program for controlling the temperature of this cylinder is already fed inside this particular microprocessor program. Then certain things are there, certain things we have to work on, and so on. Let's try to understand how to use this particular controller. You are observing over here one key box on the front panel, and different names, alphabets and numbers you are appearing on the screen, and on the top you are observing the display. Currently it is denoting Tiny 85. So such a names what you are observing over there, those can be controlled during the program. So that is not a new thing. Now when we are switch on the controller, whatever the program is there, that program is available in the ROM memory. So you are recalling there are the two parts, one is a ROM and another is a RAM. So when we want to run the program, requirement is that whatever the program available or stored in the ROM, we need to move it to the RAM. Now question is how we do this part. So for that purpose we have a write up, and all the steps in the depth has been mentioned in this particular write up. Those write ups will be shared with you, and you can go through those particular write ups. Let's understand how we are going to move the program from ROM to RAM. There are different steps available. In the write up you are observing the step number 1. So there is a MV key. What you have to use? We have to use a MV key. So MV stands for a move. what we have to do, what we have to move, we have to move a PID program which is there from in the ROM, and we have to move to the RAM. So we have to understand first at what memory location in ROM it is available. So it is available at a memory location 2000H to 27FFH. So these are the hexa notations. You are knowing that binary, decimal and all that. And then from this location in a ROM, we have to move the program to the RAM at the memory location 6000H. So what or how we can do this particular task? What we are doing now, we are moving the program from ROM memory location 2000H to 27FH, and we are moving that RAM location at 6000H. So what you have to press? What you have to press? This MV key, that is move key. So move. On the display, you are observing SS. So SS stands for source start. That is a memory location at which program is available in the ROM. So it is 2000. I am pressing here 2000. Then we have to press a next key. I am pressing the next key. On the display, you are observing SE, source end. So if you will see our step, source end is a 27FF. So I am pressing number 27 and alphabet FF. You have to say next. So what you have defined? We have defined which memory locations we have to carry from ROM to RAM. Now on the screen, you are observing now destination source. Destination is always RAM, and in RAM we have to move at a 6000. So we are saving 6000 and we will be saying next. So first step number is over. What we did in step number 1, you have to understand that we have moved the program from ROM to RAM. Now if you will see in the write up, step number 2, 3 and 4. Step number 2 is associated with the P control action. Step number 3 is associated with the I control action. And step number 4 is associated with the D action. And in the equation, you are recalling in the previous discussion, P is associated with KP, I is associated with the KI, and D is associated with the KD. So in step number 2, 3 and 4, we can change the value of a KP, KI and KD. And by changing these values associated with those modes of controller, we can learn how the system behaves for the different values of these parameters. But our aim is to learn only control actions. We will be not altering whatever the default values are there in the current program. We will be keeping them as it is. But we can change them and we can learn the experiment for different values of these parameters. Now, in step number 5, what we are observing in step number 5, we have to set the temperature of this cylinder. Whatever the temperature we want to maintain of this particular cylinder, we have to set. And this we can do by using the step number 5. Now, there are the two memory locations. I hope you are able to see this one, 6508 and 6509. Add these two memory location. If you want to set a temperature as a 50 degree, we can set a different temperatures also. We will be going with the current example only. If you want to set a 50 degrees Celsius, we have to enter 00 at a first memory location 6508, and we have to enter 05 at 6509. How to do this one? Let's see. We have to use a key which is available over here as a EM. So EM stands for examine memory. Now the first memory location is a 6508. So I'll be pressing 6508. Hope you are able to see this on your display. And then you will be saying next key. So here at the 6508, the value stored is a 00. And I'll be saying next key. Now memory location is 6509 and it is showing as a 05. So combination of 6508 and 6509 with values as 00 and 05 will give me the set temperature of this cylinder as a 50 degrees Celsius. We can change these values, but I am choosing currently whatever the default values are there inside the program. So this we have to understand over here. Next, you have to say reset. We have done, so we have done the temperature selection for the cylinder. Set value of that temperature is 50 degree. So that part we have finished. Now, if we'll move ahead and if you'll see the panel over here, and there are certain instructions for operation. Set temperature available here is you are again seeing as a 50 degree, and we have already done at those memory location. Now what do you have to do? We have to select a mode of selection. So what are the modes of selection? 00 stands for PID, 01 stands for P, 02 stands for PI, and 3 stands for PD. And these modes of control action are defined at a memory location of a 6510 location. So what we'll do, we'll see and we'll understand how to choose these modes of a control action. So again I am pressing as usual EM key, examine memory. Memory location I have to go is a 6510. So I'll be pressing here 6510 and I will saying next. If we'll see the display now, by default value is a 00. Meaning of 00 is that it is a PID mode. Now if I wish to have a P mode, what I will do? I will press 1. Now you are observing on display it is a 01. So I have chosen the proportional mode. If you wish to select a PI, it will be, you have to choose as a 2, 3 for a PD, and by default 00 for PID. What care you have to take? You have to press next and then you have to say reset. So the control action I have chosen is a P action now at a memory location 6510. Now what you have to do? We have to run the program. So where we have to run this particular program, it is available, that command is available at 6600 on your screen. So I'll be saying go 6600, and once we said that, you have to execute this program. So EXEC key you are observing on your screen, and that is the executive key. If I'll press this executive key, the lamp is glowing, if you'll be observing over there. Now as the lamp is glowing, the temperature will increase. Now just see the display on the screen. So first letters are indicating present temperature and other letters is indicating set temperature of cylinder. So the 50 is your input temperature and 30.93 is a output temperature, which is increasing now because lamps are glowing. And how they are, this temperature is indicated over here by means of that RTD output. Now hope you have understood that what is happening now. We have set temperature 50. The current temperature is shown by the RTD over here, and our task is that this temperature, that is a present temperature which is there, it has to reach a 50 degree, which is the action we have chosen. If you observe over here, PROP, so current action is a proportional control action. So I will reset this. It has been stopped now, and I will explain now the different control actions and their effects on the temperature control of the cylinder. So before proceeding ahead, we must understand the concept of a load in the present experiment. So this particular box is your process is of a heating is achieved by means of a lamps. Now on behind of this, you are observing one fan, and if this fan will run, it will force the air over the cylinder. And my question to you, though I am not able to get answer from you, is that does it will affect the temperature of a cylinder? So that is the question. And yes, as a mechanical engineer, you are correct that it will affect the temperature because heat will be carried away by this air which is forced over the cylinder. And hence, what we are saying this fan as a load on the system, or it is a disturbance. If the fan will run, it will force the air over the cylinder, it will carry away the heat, and it will affect the temperature of a cylinder. So when we are talking about a load on a system, means that we are having certain external means like this, that is a fan which is forcing on air on the cylinder. So so there are two cases, no load and a load cases. So if this fan is not working, it is a no load case, and if the fan is working, it is a load case. So during the experiment, these terms will be repeated, and hope you understood this particular part, what is meant by load on a system and no load on a system. So currently fan is switched off, so it is a no load condition. We'll come back to the setup. We have already set the temperature of a 50 degree. We have chosen the mode of a proportional action, and over here the condition is a no load, that is fan is not working. So I will run this particular program. As I have said, that go key, and we have to go for this location 6600 6600, and you have say execute. Now the lamps are glowing over here, over there. The set temperature is a 50 degree, you are observing 50 degree, you are observing, and current temperature is 35.7. now it is become 36.4. The action we have chosen is previously chosen as a proportional, so I am currently with the proportional action only. So what is the task now? The task is load on the system is a 0. Currently system is working, and the temperature of a cylinder is continuously increasing, and our task is that that temperature should reach the 50 degree. So we will wait and observe these particular changes on our screen. You observe the carefully the happenings on the display, in fact. We are in the proportional mode. You have to remember this part. We are learning a proportional action. The condition is a no load, that is fan is not working currently, so it is a no load condition. So current temperature you are observing nearby 46 degree. It has exceeded the 46 degree, and now you have to carefully observe the changes. Yes, now you are observing that lamp started blinking, and you are right. What is the reason behind this one? The actual temperature is approaching the 50 degree Celsius, means error has been reduced to level, that particular level. Lamp is continuously blinking, and temperature we have reached as a 49.8, and current temperature set one is a 50 degree. So we are very close to that particular temperature. Let's see whether it will reach the 50 degree or not. So this is the point to see. So we are at 49.9. Mode is a proportional, you have to remember again. The condition is a no load. Condition is a no load condition. So we have reached the 50 degree. So please remember that set temperature and actual temperature is a same for a no load condition for a proportional action. Now let's say and work with the experiment for a loading condition now. What I am doing, I am using a fan, and fan is forcing air over the cylinder. So what is the scenario? Scenario is that the load on the system has been changed. You have to remember that load on the system has been changed. Previously it was a no load condition. So I have just switched off the controller. Now I am waiting that temperature of a cylinder should drop a little bit. So once temperature is dropped by 3-4 degrees, I will again switch on the controller, and I will ask you to neatly observe what are the changes in the behavior in previous case with no load and the present case with a load. So what you have to do? We have to press again go 6600, and let's see what is the current temperature. So current temperature is a 48.5, 48.2. Now see, cylinder is working. We are again in the proportional mode. Please remember proportional mode, and we have the load on the system which was not there in the previous case. So I have reached the 49.3. My control system is continuously working. If you see the display, the present temperature is still 49.4 and set temperature is a 50. Set temperature is a 50. And what we are observing, we are observing that 49.4 is not changing now. So this is the problem of the proportional mode, and we'll try to understand it with the diagram. So let's say we are plotting a graph. On this axis we have temperature, and on this axis time, I'm sorry, x-axis we have time, and on y-axis we have temperature. So set value, this horizontal line is a set value is a 50 degree Celsius. Then previously we are observing that temperature was changing with respect to time, and it was reaching the set value of a 50 degree for no load condition. So these graphs we have to draw in this experiment. No load condition, fan was not working for this one, and mode is a proportional mode. And then in second part, what we have done, we have switched on the fan, load on the system was changed, and we observed that temperature was never reaching the final value of a 50 degree. This difference was present over here, and this difference is known as a steady state error. So what is the limitation of a proportional action? You have to understand. Proportional action needs a less time to reach a final value, but when the load on the system changes, it does not reach, or it never reach the final value. Permanent error always remains over there, that is a ESS. Name of that error is a offset error when the load on the system changes. And this is the limitation of a proportional action, that is, it is good in transient but very poor in the steady state. Hope you have understood this part. Now what we'll do now, we'll combine integral mode with the proportional action, that is, we'll go for P plus I mode. Now how to do? We have to go for memory location 6510. So I'll be using EM, examine memory 6510. I'll be saying next. Currently it is 01. So we are in proportional mode. I'll be choosing it as a 202. Now we are choosing P plus I, and then what will be saying next? You have to remember this, and then we'll be saying reset. Now I have mode chosen is a P plus I, and same procedure now. There is no change in procedure. What we have learned for the proportional, we have to follow in a P plus I mode. So I request you to have observations about this one. So say go, where you have to go 6600 and say execute. So set temperature we have not altered, it is again 50 degree, and the mode chosen on your screen now, it is observing PI. So P stands for proportional, I stands for integral. So that is a change. In the first part we have chosen the proportional mode, and in second part we have chosen the P plus I mode. Fan is still not working now, fan we have switched off. So hope you understood that this is a case of no load. So we are chosen a P plus I control action, that we are operating without a load, and we will be observing what will happen here. So I request you to see the display. So we are approaching, the temperature is approaching 50 degree for no load condition. So for no load condition we have to check whether it is reaching 50 or not. So let's see. So we are approaching 50 degree. Now current temperature is 49.4. No load condition. Mode is P plus I. $49.8. So if you see now, the temperature has reached the 50 degrees, so it will get deviated depending upon load. I will reset. Now I will change the load on the system, that is I will switch on the fan, and now fan will force the air over the cylinder and it will affect the temperature of the cylinder, that is the quantity which is we are controlling. And then again we are in the P plus I mode, and in P mode we are observing that with the load, proportional mode was not able to reach the final value of a 50 degree. Now what we are going to do, we are going to check what happens with a load condition for a PI mode. So let's say go, again 6600, execute and see the current action is a PI only. Now see the changes carefully on the display. So current temperature is 49.6, 49.4. In proportional mode we are observing 49.4. Now in PI, what you are observing, it is changing now. It is going ahead of that. So let's see whether it is reaching 50 or not. You can see it was stuck previously at 49.4. It is reached 49.8, 49.9 and 50 with load also. So if you will see the graph for PI with load will be also like this one. Means whatever the steady state error, or you are calling as offset error, was present in a proportional mode when the load was changing, that offset error was removed due to the combination of a I action with the proportional one. So what is the advantage we get? In proportional mode we have offset error when the load was changing. I have combined I with the proportional mode, which is good in steady state behavior. Steady state behavior is a good one, and we observe that this offset was eliminated for a P plus I action. Hope you understood the concept of the proportional mode, its limitation. Limitation of a proportional mode is an offset error when the load changes. Integral mode, when used alone, it is a very slow, it requires a lot of time, and that's why we combine with a P and I together. Due to the P, system becomes fast. Due to the I, the error which is present, that is an offset error, due to the proportional mode is eliminated. Hope you understood this PI mode. The procedure for the PID and PD is similar to this one. I will explain you now how to conduct this particular experiment. So we have 4 tables with us, and first table is a P mode. In the first part, this one is without load, no load, and second part over here is a with load, that is fan is working and all. So each of this table has 2 parts. First 3 columns are no load, last 3 columns are with load, and P mode, PI mode, PD mode and PID mode we have chosen. Then what we are doing? We are using a stopwatch and we are reading the just temperature from this particular display. So initial time we are taking as a 0. We will be starting a stopwatch. Your system is running. You have chosen the P mode, and we will be measuring after every 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds you are observing these times 15, 30, 45. They are in the table of a 15, and corresponding to that time we are measuring a temperature. So you are observing that temperature is continuously increasing like I have shown in the experiment, and without load we are observing that we are reaching the final set value of a 50. Same procedure we are following with load, but we are not reaching the final temperature as a 50. So this is a limitation. We had a offset error. Then what I am doing, I am coming in a P plus I. Same procedure, without load you are observing 50, and with load again you are observing 50. So due to the combination of I mode, you are observing that offset has been removed. In PD mode, what you are observing, the final temperature over here is not 50 with load. Why it is not there? You have to remember that because I action is not present, integral action is not present, which is good in a steady state. Due to the absence of a I, we have a steady state error over there. Then final PID, which I have said that is the best one, both the cases you are observing this as a 50, that is we are reaching the final value. From this data, we have 4 tables. We'll check and you will understand the difference between these cases. So this graph is for P, and you are observing that set temperature is a 50, it is reaching the 50 degree over here, but without load. With load, it is never reaching the 50. This is the offset error. So it is poor in steady state. I have combined P with I over here, and you are observing that the final value is reached in both the cases. So due to the combination of I, steady state performance is improved, and due to the P, the transient performance is improved. And similar sort of the graphs for a PI will be getting. Offset will be again present, PD. Offset will be again present in the PD, and PID offset is not present, you will be observing over here. Hope you have understood this particular experiment, concept of the control actions, and why we choose the different control actions and all. So thank you very much.